M05 fires, the display says spindle off, but the chuck is still turning, and the program just moved to the next line. M05 commands the spindle to stop. What it doesn't do is hold up the program until the spindle is actually at 0, so the next block can run while it's still spinning down. On most controls, M05 cuts the speed signal to the drive. The drive then decelerates the motor however it's configured: ramped, coast, or braked. Here's the chain. The control issues M05. The drive revs current down, the motor loses torque, and the spindle coasts on its own inertia until friction wins. That coast down is the part nobody warns you about. A 6,000 RPM spindle on a big lathe can take 5 to 15 seconds to actually reach 0. M05 ends the command. It does not end the motion. Now mix in M00 and M30. M00 pauses the program, and on most controls it also parks the spindle and coolant until you hit cycle start. M30 ends the program and clears the spindle off. M05 just drops the spindle command and lets the program roll on. Side by side, M00 halts program flow and parks the spindle until restart. M05 drops the spindle command but lets flow keep running. M30 ends the program and clears the spindle command for good. Here's the part people get wrong about tool changes. An M06 handles the spindle itself. It orients and stops it before the changer moves. So M05 then M06 isn't the trap it's made out to be. The real exposure is a plain rapid, a part catcher, or a probe right after M05 moves where nothing forces the spindle to be stopped first. For those moves, the fix is a dwell. Drop a G04 after the M05 to give the spindle a couple of guaranteed seconds to wind down before the next motion block. Now the worst failure mode, Runaway. The control sends M05. The drive doesn't acknowledge it. The spindle keeps running at commanded RPM with no feedback to the operator. This happens when the drive faults silently, when the spindle stopped feedback signal is wired wrong, or when a parameter is set so M05 only zeroes the command and never checks actual RPM. There are two ways a control verifies a stop. Open loop, it just trusts that M05 worked. Closed loop, it waits for a spindle at 0 signal from the encoder before moving on. Plenty of shops are running open loop and don't know it. Most operators were never taught this distinction. The manual says M05 stops the spindle, full stop. The reality is M05 stops the spindle on a properly parameterized, properly wired, closed-loop control and assumes the rest. Verifying it on your machine takes 90 seconds. Run M03 S500, then M05. Watch the actual chuck, not the screen. Count how long until rotation stops. That's your minimum dwell time. If you've never timed it, you don't know it. Add at least a 50% buffer to that coast down number. That's the G04 dwell to put after M05 before a part catcher cycle, a probe, or any operator hand move. The tool changer already waits on the spindle. These don't. If you've made it this far, you already know more about M05 than most of the people writing the programs you're running. Subscribe. ShopFloorIQ covers the M codes and G codes the manuals gloss over.